So I've put more hours into Tears of the Kingdom than I care to admit publicly, and it took me way too long to fully figure out the coordinates on the minimap, which is the biggest navigational upgrade between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. We have the X, Y, and Z coordinates, which certainly would have been helpful in Breath of the Wild, but now with the exploration of the skies and the depths, this feature was certainly welcomed. And while I figured out the Z coordinate right away because it's the only one that changes while you're falling, I always had trouble fully grasping the concept of the X and Y coordinates, and it's really not that tough. The first set of numbers is your X, which is your west and east, and the second set of numbers is your Y, that's your north and south. This must mean there's a 000 pinpoint location in Hyrule, and I wanted to find it. Now, my initial hypothesis was that this must be at the exact center of the map. And my first guess was Hyrule Castle. Even though it's not the center of the map, I thought it's such a significant location, maybe that's what they chose. So I started making my way there, but as I approached Castle Town, I quickly realized the numbers weren't adding up, and I was going the wrong way already. So I turned around and started making my way towards Lookout Landing, which began to look more like the true center of the world, making my second guess the Sacred Grounds. But as I wandered around Lookout Landing, it became obvious that this too was incorrect. It was closer, but still not quite there, and so using my new understanding of how to work with the coordinates more intelligently, I started heading in the direction to lower all my numbers to 0, which I found was just randomly out in Hyrule Field not far from Lookout Landing. But there's nothing special out here, nothing at all that would make one think this was a special place chosen by the developers. There's a fallen Zonai sky boulder and one of Hudson's building supply stashes nearby, but otherwise nothing to write home about. It just happens to be literally the exact center of the overworld. And so now I was able to zero out the X and Y coordinates, but I still wasn't at a true 000 because the Z coordinate was 18 degrees above 0. And this, I believe, is where most people would stop, give up, and be like, oh, I guess I can't get there. But I know a glitch that allows Link to move through barriers, and so now I was even more excited to see what it looks like at 000 because I realized we're not supposed to see this, and of course it's human nature to want what you can't have, and so I started setting up the glitch to overload the game and get Link to drop through the floor. And briefly, the way this works is you trick the game into thinking Link has dropped the weapon he's holding even though he hasn't, and then you equip another weapon while he's still holding it, and then he's holding multiple weapons simultaneously. And when you do this enough, the game gets so confused it doesn't know what to do, and if you then go take control of a steering stick, it'll sink through the floor. So I dropped a steering stick at the 0 coordinate for X and Y, overloaded my weapon carrying capacity, and went for a ride. And when you do this, there's not much room before you fall into some water lying right below the surface, at which point, instead of being at 0 on the Z coordinate, you'll be at about -6 or 7. You fall through so quickly you don't even have a chance to stand directly at 0 and take a look around from this perspective, so I had to get creative. I started dropping through the floor and immediately stepping off the steering stick and opening the paraglider. Then, while drifting lower, I was able to drop items into the water to stand on. The idea being if I could have some sort of flotation device, I could ultra hand a hover pad or some other makeshift platform to stand at 000. I quickly learned just how badly the developers didn't want you messing around down here because ultra handing items does not work the way it's supposed to. Anything I tried to grab would immediately sink like a stone. And so after exhausting all options I could come up with, and while I was briefly able to get Link to 000, the closest I could get and take my time looking around to admire the view was 00 -6. And this is what things look like from that perspective. The underside of the grass looks pretty cool. It looks like bokoblins walking on a sheet of glass. Water stretching out as far as the eye can see. Nothing super crazy, just kind of cool to look at. And it's all made just a little bit more interesting because we had to tunnel below the surface to get sight of it. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. Leave yours in the comments. Now for fun real quick, let's see which one of my channel members is the 000 or the center of the channel for this video. And thank you and welcome to our newest channel member, Lufera. Welcome in, good to have you. And we have L is the winner today. That, you know what, that makes sense. Triple E, 000, congratulations. And thank you so very much to all my channel members. I appreciate you immensely. I've got some new channel upgrades coming soon, and I owe it in large part to y'all, so I'm grateful to say the least. Thank you so very much for watching. Subscribe to catch more of the Zelda stuff I'll be dropping in the near future. I'll be back as soon as I can with that content. So until next time, stay cool and always keep punching out there. Aloha.